Nutcases. This is Nick Chess, and you're about to hear a 3 Bites episode. A 3 Bites episode is when we talk about 3 episodes of a series, just to get into it, get a taste of it, and give you an idea of if you want to continue watching or if it is something that you want to watch. This particular episode is about the series A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which is the HBO adaptation of the Hedge Knight series. There be swears in here, so I'm not editing out the swears, very much like the sense that this show has a lot of swearing and a lot of violence and so forth. You're going to get it in the episode as well. But more importantly, I pulled back together the Beyond the Wall crew, and we had swearing in that podcast, so it just doesn't feel right to edit out the swears in this one. But here's a little game you can play. Try to tally up who swears the most. It's going to be who you don't expect. Hello, Mixed Nutcases, and hello, fans of Beyond the Wall. Listeners of Beyond the Wall, Song of Ice and Fire, Hedge Knight, Game of Thrones, Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, anybody that is slightly interested in this. We're having a little bit of a reunion show here. I have asked my co-hosts of Beyond the Wall to come on this episode to talk about the new series. We're going to do the first 3 bites of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. So let's get started with our hosts here. Our old newbie is still our newbie.
I'm Shoot Schubert. I'm a musician and a sometime streamer podcaster. Haven't really podcasted since we did Beyond the Wall back in the day. But now we're doing a lot of streaming on Twitch and whatnot. And really great to see all of you. Thanks for having me.
And we'll move to your lovely partner then.
I guess that's me. Hi, I'm Viv, aka Vivid Muse. I don't know. I don't know if Truth really said this, but I have not read the novel that this is based on, the graphic novel that this is based on. And I did watch House of the Dragons, but I know that you guys didn't, but I did watch it. So I have feelings about that show too that we can have a conversation about another time. I'm podcasting is limited pretty much to, I occasionally am still doing the City of Heroes podcast. We're playing that game again. Woohoo! Oh, nice. Yay, homecoming. And I'm streaming over there every week, that game and a couple of others that are really fun. So that's kind of like what I'm doing there. And the channel is my name. So
yay. And lastly, but not leastly.
Hi, I'm Christiana Ellis. I am so happy to be back with my old Beyond the Wall friends here. And I am sometimes writer, sometimes podcaster, sometimes streamer, mostly streaming role-playing games such as Dungeons & Dragons and Assorted, of which all of you have at least at one time or another been players in some of those games. I have read the novella that it was based on. I actually haven't read the graphic novel version, but I have read the original prose one.
It's quite a good graphic novel. So yeah, I'll start with my background on the source material. I read the graphic novels. In between reading the other books, while I was waiting for books to come out, and it was such a breath of fresh air. It was just fun and something I really got into. And I didn't know that there were novellas until much later. And then I went back and I read those. So I kind of came at it a little bit differently. But when we were doing Beyond the Wall, this was something that PG and I would constantly reference. There was a reference. There were actually a couple references to the stories of Dunk and Egg.
Careful though, because some of the references, even though they are references that were in the original show, could be considered spoilers for people who haven't read these novellas.
Exactly. Yeah. So there were definitely references, and I remember that PG and I would get really excited about it. And when HBO was talking about wanting to do more, I was like, it's got to be the Hedge Knight. It's got to be the Hedge Knight. Like, why would you start with anything else? We got to do the Hedge Knight. And then they did House of the Dragon, and I couldn't bring myself to watch it. And my father-in-law absolutely loves it, and he keeps telling me I should watch it, but I just was like, I don't know. I watch a lot less shows these days, and I'm sure I'll come to it later. I have this thing that sometimes I will watch a show, 10 years after it's over and go, oh man, that was a good show.
Yeah, I'm the same way. No judging. Take your time.
Do it. Yeah. I just couldn't do it while it was live and everybody was talking about it. So,
Yeah, I had, like similar to when we first started Beyond the Wall, I had come very late to Game of Thrones and had read the first novel and then stopped when we were going to do the show and be like the pure, and I have not gone back. I haven't read any of the books and had never read Hedge Knight or anything to do with it. And, popular culture, I'd absorbed little bits and pieces of it, things, hearing, but, and then the show started and, I've been absolutely delighted. Because it is such a breath of fresh air. I did watch the House of the Dragon. I hung in to finish the first season. Yeah, I was skeptical about starting the second, but the second I think was much better. I ended up watching it and enjoyed it. And,
that's great.
And
that's good to
look
hear.
forward. Yeah, I look forward to seeing more now. I did not think that at the end of the first season.
Yeah, he actually would not watch it. He would not. When season 2 started, he wouldn't watch it with me. And then I got into it. I watched it and I was like, babe, it's really, they're really doing something here,
It's different. Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's the same flavor of season 1, but they're doing much better things with what they've got. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I love strong female protagonists, and I'll leave it at that.
All right. That's good to know.
So I really love the flavor of it. It's dark, it's doomy. They like out the gate, they let you know that Matt Smith is not Doctor Who on this show. You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't even know he was in the show. So
so like they are drawing a line and saying, no, this is a different role for him, and he just eats it up. I mean, he eats it up. I think it's good. It's a darker flavor than we had in the first show. It's much darker than what we have in A Night of the Seven Kingdoms by far. Look, you guys have said it, and it's absolutely true. This is literally a breath of fresh air. Like even the like gross, the gross comical scenes are just like hilarious. Like they're not like, it is that breath of fresh air that we all needed. But Chooch was totally out. He was noped out on season 2 until I was like, give it a try. And I'm glad you did, babe.
That's kind of where I ended up. So maybe I ought to go back for season 2 after all. I was just like has been discussed, that show is just very serious, and I was just not feeling like that's what I wanted back when that was coming out. So,
and it's fair. It's very dark, and you might not want it now either. You might want to give it a little more time to steep. But just let me know if you do, and if you watch it, Team Green or Team Black. That's all I want to know.
Okay.
When you get there.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like the idea that there's teams you can do. So,
I mean, I think I know which team you guys would go for, but I'd love to hear it from y'all when you get there. If you ever do, no pressure.
Yeah. No, I love that. So because of that, I've been so out of tune with like what's happening. I didn't even know they were making this. Like, I know that it was one of the things they said, they had hinted.
There were 5 spinoffs.
There were going to be 5 spinoffs, and that there was a story that could have been the Dunk and Egg Tales that were one of the ones that was kept, but then there were a bunch that were canceled, and I was like, I can't. I stopped paying attention to it, and then it just showed up on my TV, and I was like, oh my gosh, Merry Christmas to me. Like,
it does seem, like very little fanfare.
Yeah. And then I watched episode 1, and I immediately was like, I got to talk to the crew. Because I'm liking this. I'm liking this so much. I was really surprised.
Yeah.
So what was everyone's impression of the first episode? This is the one where it just starts, Dunk starts with there's a voiceover where he's talking about his knight, and we watch his knight die, and then he meets a clever boy named Egg, and Yeah.
I mean, it's not even really voiceover, right? Because it's him saying, speaking words. He doesn't know what words to say, but this is what he's saying.
There should be a septum here,
Yeah. The phrase of breath of fresh air has already been used a couple of times, but there really was just this sense when I was watching it of just this relax of like, oh, it's good. Yeah. Isn't that great? Oh, thank goodness. It was really just exactly what I wanted after having felt like the last show is too dark for me. And especially because I have read the novella, and so I knew that I liked the stories in general, and having just enough memory of the things that happened to know that I would be looking forward to what's going to happen. But also, just the casting is fantastic. Like even just right off the bat, Peter Claffey is Dunk. First of all, huge. He's 6'5" is apparently the actor's height. But I think sometimes in the show they actually play a little bigger than that even.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, but he's just great. He's so good. Like I just really buy his sorrow, but also a little bit of maybe there's a little bit of, well, I've got to do something if I'm ever going to try anything. Now's the time. Sort of feeling at the beginning, and then of course we get that fantastic musical joke where he's staring heroically off into the middle distance, and we start to get the swell of the old Game of Thrones theme song, and then we watch his face gradually turn concerned, and of course we cut away from the music to him having diarrhea.
There was a lot of like little comedic timings. So in the opening, the montage with Pennytree, and he's leaving a woman in bed and he's going out to take a piss, and then you see So I'm just like sitting. I normally don't have reactions to nudity like that, and I was just like, whoa.
Yeah. A prosthetic for sure.
Yeah,
but still.
A confirmed prosthetic, but a really good one. I actually, it is confirmed that it is a prosthetic, but it was a really good one.
But
he's the definition of big dick energy. He lives his life somewhat humbly. But he's packing heat.
Yeah. And he's just, and that's why he's so popular with the women and all the other stuff.
When you're talking about timing of flashbacks, the one that I thought you were going to mention is when he's still speaking over the grave and saying, "You never struck me except when I deserved it." And we get a little rapid fire montage of boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And then that one time, but it wasn't me. Boom. And then like the one where he hits it and it makes him hit his head on the
double hit.
Yeah.
I thought it was
except that one time.
Except that one time, and there had been like half a dozen just shown. But like I thought I think it immediately told us about Duncan too, though, because he says, and you never even hit me, and then but he knows he hit him. He's speaking honorable words.
Unless I deserved it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right. No, it's okay. But he's trying to do the right thing by his knight. He's trying to speak honorable words over him. There should be a septon here, as Chooch said, he mentioned, he's trying to do right by him. And that's like at a moment when, with nobody else watching, he could have just dumped him and left, said no words, taken the horses, taken the sword. But he took the time to dig the grave, to bury him, to say words that weren't necessarily true. But in the eyes of the seven, it was an honorable way to, say goodbye to this person, to set him on his, eternal path. And so I thought that was, a little bit of like humor, was it? When with the whole hitting scene or whatever, it was like, it was a little abrupt, but it was like, poignant and stuff. But it was very brief, but it delivered a lot of what I believe his character to be now, because I feel like they set that in the beginning. He's done honorably when nobody's watching, and that is like the true test of your honor, right?
Yeah.
I think it's amazing how how they're doing kind of a zag for the characterization of Sir Arlen, because pretty much every time we see a flashback, it's Sir Arlen not behaving especially knightly.
Right. Yeah.
True.
We have not seen a flashback yet where he was doing something that seemed especially knightly. However, what we see is Dunk, who is a good boy to the core. You know what I mean? Like he really believes everything, and we just have to feel like, well, I mean, there must have been that part of Sir Arlen too, or else where would Dunk have learned it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I think it's interesting in that way that, you know, it's kind of often used for humor, but it's also kind of just a fascinating, you have to read between the lines sort of characterization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, correct my memory of the show. Is it ever spelled out that Sir Arlen didn't actually knight?
It's a question, isn't it? We certainly don't see it happen.
We haven't seen a knighting ceremony in his flashbacks.
Okay.
Correct.
All we have is
Yeah.
his word that he has said that he was knighted. But yeah, we're taking him at his word.
Yeah,
Other
like,
than him
we pick
saying
up-
he
yeah.
always said he was going to, and the only him is him not saying a word.
I know
You'll
it's
make
not
me a knight
really-
someday, right?
I know it's not really the full intention here, but it does always strike me whenever they're talking about some of that stuff, like any knight can make a knight. It always makes me think of vampires and their thralls.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
But in any case, but yes, so it is certainly true that we have not seen it happen, which does sort of present that question, even though the show hasn't like had anyone deliberately challenge him on it per se. We didn't see it happen, and so it certainly seems at least theoretically possible that he could be making it up. But would Dunk make it up? We don't know.
We don't know. I mean,
I
we
got the
know-
impression he's making it up, and that's like his one thing, you know, and that's going to be his one thing that is his shame for his life, you know,
fatal flaw.
right? That he was never an actual knight or something.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah. Well, it does just I think it raises these interesting questions, right? Of what does it actually mean to be a knight? You know, like supposedly they swear all of these vows, but then you have all of these people who are knights who don't act like that at all. Whereas you have someone who embodies all of those virtues so completely, and yet there might be some question about it just because someone who could have maybe didn't actually, you know, like it, and just the idea of what, you know, is it actually important to have had that ceremony happen? Like, does that actually mean anything? Or, you know, but that's so much of what this show and these stories are about, right? Is that thing where, you know, poor old Dunk, he is just, I wouldn't say it's completely that he's naive, but he is innocent in a lot of ways, right? Like the idea that Arion would have deliberately killed the horse in the, you know, was jumping ahead a little bit, right? Like it never even occurred to him that it would have been on purpose because he's just that much.
Yes, he's a knight.
Yeah,
He's
even though he
a knight would not do that.
He clocked it from the audience. He said that's too low. He saw.
Yeah. So it's like, but for in his mind, it was all like, oh, that's strange. He's making a mistake somehow. Instead of Egg immediately understanding, no, he did that 100% on purpose because he's bad.
And I looked at I was curious about the geography, and so they mentioned, you know, where they were going, and then they did, I think when he was saying he was registering for the tourney, they said they were in the Reach. And when I had first looked up the city name, something I didn't realize is they said at that time that particular kingdom was known to be extremely chivalrous, like the jousting and stuff. That was the epicenter of this because they were such a chivalrous kingdom, and this honor and all that means everything there. I didn't realize how important a deal that was, and how, Dunk, he seems like like you said, kind of naive. It's just like, it's just impossible to him that a knight would do something like that, and especially in that arena.
Mm-hmm.
That is an interesting point, though, Christiana, because you tied the granting of knighthood by another knight, and you tied that to vampirism. And that just made me think for a second of What We Do in the Shadows in Guillermo, who was constantly promised to be made a vampire, but he would never be made a vampire because if he was made a vampire, then he would no longer be beholden and a worker for the vampire. So if he makes him a vampire, it's like, I think that's the same thing that goes on with the knighthood. So maybe there actually is something to a knight that's willing to sacrifice his worker, his personal secretary or whatever, because he sees so much potential in him that he goes ahead to make him a knight. So maybe that does carry more weight, actually doing the ceremony, because he's such above being just a worker that'll fetch beer and hookers or whatever, or prostitutes or whatever, that that he's worthy, that he's like a cut above. So maybe it did, and maybe it's just all bullshit. Like, maybe it's all just not cool, like you said. But yeah, I mean, just thinking of that vampire tie-in made me think of it a little differently as all, though.
Sure.
Anyways.
Yeah. Note to listeners, there might be swears in this episode.
Sorry. I'm trying.
I meant to say that at the beginning, but I forgot. So, oops.
I knew it was going to be me.
I think that there's certainly an intention for, like, the ideal of it is that it means something because it's all about, like, you're supposed to be swearing these vows to serve the seven kingdoms, right? And so, and that's supposed to really mean something to you. Like, it has to be a promise that you would never consider breaking because it's this serious. And the idea that there needs to be a ceremony to make it official is kind of part of that whole idea, which simultaneously is revealed in the world to be generally kind of nonsense because people don't take it seriously at all. Some people do kinda, and some people do not at all. But it's a minority, it would seem, of people who just really think that's actually 100% serious and important and critical and really matters.
Yeah.
But the irony is that Dunk seems like he actually maybe is that kind of person who thinks it does really matter. And so then the question of, would that person also lie about it? And I think that tension is absolutely part of what the show is doing, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is removed from a lot of the games, like just by being a hedge knight and not being in one particular city, castle, realm, whatever. He's like traveling as like an accessory to the actual hedge knight. So he doesn't have an allegiance to one person. He's not learning their spin, their stories that aren't exactly true. They're kind of the way things work underneath the official rules, which might be a little dirty. He's seeing all of the honor that's fluff on top for the commoners, and he's not seeing all the subterfuge that goes on, like what we lived through with, Game of Thrones, where all we got was intrigue and subterfuge. Like he's just seeing the surface. He's seeing the billboards on the side of the road, and he's just driving in smiling, and so that naivete is like, Brother Roger, like, but it is, it's just, and I think that's what also helps feed the naivete that he gives off, Yeah.
The one of the things that I was really excited about in the first, I think is it the first episode or the second episode, when he meets the Fossilways, the ones with the apple on their shoes?
That first meeting is in the first episode, I think.
Okay. I was so excited when I saw that. Because I remember them being in the story, but I have always been a big fan of the Fossilways. That in the books, there's a lot of talk about the green apple and the red apple Fossilways, that it all goes down to, the fact that, in the past they were one family, and then there was a rift, and now they're split into the green and the red and all of that. And it's really just a fun thing. And it's just a stupid little geeky reference. And it's
so also
excited.
just kind of so fun and silly that, you know, all of the other houses have their, you know, the sigil, like the stag or the dragon or the dire wolf.
Yeah.
They have the apple. I know
And
we're
they make their own
talking about-
cider.
Yeah.
Well,
We're not talking
apples.
about episode 4 yet, but I'll just sneak preview for those who have yet to watch it that there's a great line about that in episode 4.
Yeah.
But in any case,
But
but yeah, we meet Stefan and his cousin Raymond, who is his squire. You know, initial impression, Stefan, kind of a dick. Raymond, yeah, cool guy.
Okay.
I'm getting whiffs of Pod,
Yeah.
like
This,
the stuff that I liked about Pod.
Yeah.
Does not care for the Targaryens.
Has big feelings.
Well,
Big
and
feelings.
you know, it's one of the things that people kind of forget, that the reason that it's called the Seven Kingdoms is they were 7 individual kingdoms, and then in comes this family that is not from the area that came and conquered and you know, is ruling over all of them. And I think that's I'm very happy that they included that in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, with an actual slur.
Yeah.
Yep. No, it's I think that this is what I like about this, that it's not that many generations, you know, it's not that far back from the Game of Thrones storyline. It's a couple generations.
100 years is what they've been
Yeah.
saying in the
Yeah.
marketing.
Oh, I thought it was longer. Okay.
No.
So-
So House of the Dragon is further back.
Yes.
But then
Okay.
this is
Right.
only 100 years before the original show, and it's a notable period in the history because, of course, the Targaryens are still in charge, but they no longer have any living dragons, which has got a number of people starting to wonder if they really have to listen to them anymore.
And
But
by- go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think that, and so I'm not remembering all of the history precisely, but I believe that there has already been a significant rebellion, but it was put down. But the point is that, you know, it's happened and people are still sore about it. And of course, you know, we know eventually a couple generations from now, there will be another one that finally succeeds, but you know,
Yeah.
but that, and we see even in these first 3 episodes that they're, you know, small folk are not necessarily big fans of the Targaryens right now.
Well, and especially when they do stuff like that at the tourney, like, you know, the cheap trick of, you know, killing the horse to fell the rider. There's definitely a little bit of that in Game of Thrones, that first tourney scene where, is it Loras that brings the mare that gets all the other horses all upset?
I think it
Someone
might
brings a
be,
mare.
yeah.
And gets all the others upset, and everyone's like, oh, that's such a cheap trick. You know, 100 years later, the cheap trick is bringing a female horse to get the other horses upset. And 100 years past, it was killing the horse.
And I think some of the difference here is that if anyone else did the kill the horse trick, it would not fly. But because it's a prince,
it still didn't fly so well.
Yeah,
because
the
they
audience
pushed him.
came up at
I guess
him.
what I just mean is that I think that
He wasn't disqualified. He wasn't
Right, yeah.
challenged.
Gotcha.
yeah. That's
But the
definitely-
audience definitely, I think that was a good point where they showed their displeasure at their willingness to put themselves in danger by
Someone threw a rock at him and hit him in the head.
hit him in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a general revolt amongst the viewers of it, but it was
And that the White Cloaks had to come out. Like, that was a big deal.
yeah.
So that
We
was.
did kind of skip by meeting Egg for the first time,
Yes.
though.
Oh yeah,
Let's
we
get
should.
into
Yeah,
that. So we meet Egg at the tavern. And so I want to know, Chooch and Viv, what were your thoughts of this little kid just.
I'll gush, so Chooch, go first.
Yeah,
You know
well,
me,
I mean,
Megan.
so yeah, you see the first, see it that it's him, and just that first interaction, take care. Well, could you take my horse? I could if I wanted. He's like, you will, or you're gonna clout in the air, And I don't know. My assumption was that everybody knows who the kid is. So I I immediately assumed who he was.
Did you?
His true identity. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I felt just the couple of immediate things they showed, were pretty obvious that the one guy passed out.
Very blonde.
His brother.
I think that one is Darian, I believe. All of their names are so similar. It's annoying, but yes.
Yeah.
Darian, I believe, was the one that was drunk at the end.
The moment they said wayward kids, like they were laying Easter eggs or breadcrumbs, and I thought it was pretty blatant. And I thought it was supposed to be blatant just to show that Dunk is in his own world, and and I guess like the joke is that he's stupid or whatever, because he's like, when they're talking back and forth, he says, people used to say I'm stupid.
Yeah.
And what? And what? What are you saying? What are you talking about? Like,
yeah.
And then I see it more that he's not that he's really particularly thick. He's definitely thick when it comes to people wronging him. Like, he always assumes the best of everybody, and just kind of in his own chivalrous knight rose-colored glasses.
I don't know if they said it specifically, but in the novella, there's a lot of him thinking about Sir Arlen saying, "Dunk the lunk as thick as an oak tree."
I'm reminded there's just a phrase that gets repeated a bunch in the Stephen King's Dark Tower series, talking about Roland, who no one would call stupid, but what they say is like the gears of his the mill of his mind ground slow but exceedingly fine, basically meaning like he doesn't come to conclusions quickly, but when he gets there, it's the right one.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, that's very.
Worst ways to put that.
Very much, yeah. So, Viv, your thoughts on Dunk?
Egg.
Or egg.
On egg, yeah. He presents as precocious at the beginning, which I adore in a child. Just so he's I'm guessing he's probably, the character's roughly the same age as our grandchild right now, our grandson.
Is he that old? Oh my goodness.
He's going to be 11 in a couple months.
Goodness.
I think Egg's supposed to be 9.
Okay, yeah. So
yeah.
So it's, when I said I was gonna gush, like, it's because of course I see some similarities there, the boldness, the confidence, and like this is kind of how it is. But then when Duncan really puts his foot down, it's like, fine, he realizes he can't really control things, which I think is a nice little peek into what we're gonna find out later. Well, what we do find out later in episode 3. But
when did you have any suspicion of who he was?
So this is the wonder of my memory, is I remember you guys talking about it over and over and over again. And I even got the graphic novel to read it, but I don't even know why I never did. So I have a vague understanding of what, if nothing else, what his full name is.
Okay.
And so, I made that, I knew who his associations were just immediately, but, I don't, I'm just letting it breadcrumb. I'm trying not to think too much about what you guys said in the past. I just want to kind of like experience as it unravels for me.
No, that's great. Yeah. The one thing that for me, that I noticed even in episode 1 is he kept saying, "My lord." And that was one of the things that when, who was it that had to pretend that they were lowborn?
Arya?
Yes. It's not my lord, it's my lord.
My lord.
Yeah, this is Arya with Tywin.
Yes, that was
yes.
He knew she was highborn by the way that she said that. Yeah. And I was just
that's a good catch. That's fun. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
But that's
so like I knew, like that's the other thing.
Right, yeah.
I knew.
Well,
so I knew to look for these clues.
Because I also knew, I was kind of delighted at all of the little clues that they laid out, which like no one should feel bad if they didn't pick up on it, right?
Right.
Because like the show held it as a reveal on purpose, right? Like so, and I think that there are actually a lot of clues. I think there are enough to theoretically put it together, even if you had no idea. But that said, it would still require kind of a leap because, but I mean, if nothing else, what we do eventually learn is, oh, yeah, there's some Targaryen kids missing. We don't know where they are yet. One of them is named Aegon.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so I think that, and also just like the way Egg acts when he's around, the highborn people versus just walking around.
Yeah.
And, when he does or doesn't want to talk more about something and all these sorts of things. And also just like bald head.
Yeah.
What's up with that? Right? Obviously there are reasons.
They're like, are you sick?
Yeah. There are, people who have a condition where they don't have the hair, and that's like nothing wrong with that either. But it's just like it's a question
it's
of
notable.
Yeah.
It's unusual to have a little kid with a bald head. So what's up with that? And one lane of questioning you might go down there is like, does he shave his head? If so, why would he do that?
Right.
Maybe it's because his hair would be distinctive in some way.
Yeah.
What happened to your hair? What happened to your eye?
And then the flashback to the guy getting stabbed in the eye. Can you understand why that might be a trigger?
Also with the identity that they, two things for me. One is that they did reveal it very early, episode 3. They are very short episodes. They're only like half an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so that's not a lot of time.
I think the season is only 6 episodes too.
Oh, okay. So that's halfway through. Wow. Oh.
Well, okay. It's because it's based on a novella. The story is not that long.
When you realize we only got like 8 1-hour episodes for books that were 3 inches thick.
Yeah, right. That's true. True.
A half-hour episode and 6 episodes for something that can fit into a single trade or, just a small novella.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty good.
The second thing for me is from the original Game of Thrones when Aemon is dying and he was saying egg. That is so embedded in my brain.
Okay.
That particularly, his voice, everything about that scene,
childlike.
That it was so beautifully done. When I hear egg, that's boom. I'm immediately going to think Aegon.
Nice.
And the reference when they mentioned just before the actual reveal, I think, is when they were talking about the kids that were missing. Yeah, well, there's the other one that they sent off to be a
maester.
To be a meister, right? And the last one, and then they keep breaking and going to something else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, that was good.
But hearing about Aemon was like, oh,
exactly. Yeah, no, that's really good that you remembered that and you picked that up. I was being very quiet because I didn't want to fall into those things, So, speaking of, all right. So yeah, we did touch on that. Tanza, the very tall puppeteer,
the storyteller. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to move into her for a little bit. I couldn't be happier with her casting, with her inclusion, with how she's portraying the character. I couldn't be happier. But again, I'm going to let my newbies talk first.
I mean, she's charming and captivating and all of those things. And you can see, like, we're all as captivated, I think, as Dunk is. And just like looking around, why isn't anybody else like fallen in love with her the way he has? Because she's a light on the stage,
I think it's her height.
The height, obviously. Yeah. But
and I didn't even
catch
that. I didn't catch that until they mentioned the height. Like, oh, you're tall. You're so perfect for what? Yeah. Puppets. You're perfect for puppetry.
Get a leg.
That was a perfect example of something again like that I didn't remember until it like came up and it was like, oh right, Tanzel too tall.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, seeing her kind of doing a performance thing and he really takes that shine when she is like in her element and she does a kind of a smile seeing the audience, vibing with the audience.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what I felt that what he recognized was emotion and like competence and like, you know, like
she's not
somebody really doing what they're meant to do. Yeah. Yeah.
I love the puppet show.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, the
so
fire.
good.
I think the thing is that like, I have not reread it, but my memory of the puppet show in the book was not that they had a dragon puppet that was 8 feet tall.
Yeah. I was thinking little puppets that you can pack up and, you know, carry around. I wasn't thinking
like standard marionette stuff. Yeah.
Right.
But it's great. I loved it. Yeah.
And you see that
I can
and you
see
go,
why. Go ahead. No, you.
I was going to say, you can see why the tent is packed every day, every night.
Yeah. I just thought it makes sense because she makes the puppets, and why wouldn't somebody that was always called too tall make something bigger than her rather than something that accentuates her height? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Well,
the father makes the puppets, but she paints them.
Because if she wants to be the you know the knight in the show, the dragon has to be bigger.
Yeah.
I loved the little exchange where they're all talking and Egg is just kind of like, how do you do the fire? And then she demonstrates, and he immediately goes, oh, is it pollen? And I you know, that's just another, it's like, this is not just some lowborn kid, uneducated, right?
This is an educated child. Yeah.
But I loved that, like, he did have to ask, but then when he sees it demonstrated, oh, it's like a powder that's throwing on, you know, but I just loved all of that little exchange there.
Yeah. No, I think what I like so much about this, and it is going to fall on the actor who's playing Egg, is his delight and wonder.
Yeah.
Like he's experiencing everything for the first time, and he's just so happy to be there. And, you know, his head is swirling full of knights, probably the same thing that got Dunk interested in being a squire when he was a lad, you know, everything fueling this. In the books, Tommen Lannister was very much like this, and Bran was like this, you know, that young kids, their heads are swimming with these stories of knights. And then you see that Dunk, he's a grown up, he's an adult, he still believes the stories, you know, he still can't believe that a knight would be dishonorable. And as he's coming into this world, he's having his dreams kind of shattered, realizing how much underhandedness and deception there actually is. And then you also have Egg, who is just exploring the world and still just like he understands that things are ugly, but he's latched onto Dunk because he sees that Dunk sees the world the way that he does in honor. And I love that. I also really love the whole story of like big guy, little guy. Freak the Mighty was one of my favorite books.
Big and small is always, it's a reliable combination. I did just, because I was curious, I did just look up both actor and character official heights. Apparently, at some point in the books, I'm seeing on a wiki here, it says, Dunk is, eventually measured at 6'11".
Oh, okay.
Peter Claffey, the actor, is 6'5". And then Tamsin doesn't have like an official measurement, but is reported to have been half a head shorter than Dunk. So that would still be well over 6 feet. The actress is 5'11".
Oh, okay. I know that there's a quote where he says, you know, they always called her Tamsel too tall, but she was never too tall for me, you know, and it was always that she was.
Well, again, the perfect little exchange where, you know, he kind of says that in the episode is, you're not too tall for me. Like, what do you mean? Like, too tall for
you're not
what?
too tall.
And then there's just this immediate obvious, like, Did you hear something?
This parachute is a
and
backpack.
And his buddy, the Apple guy, when he says, half man, a half man, well, half man, half giant.
So this is not a spoiler because it's never said anywhere, but there's a lot of speculation And there's stories and so forth that Hodor is a descendant of Dunks and that there's a connection there. So Hodor's great grandmother was Old Nan, and we know that 2 of her sons were killed in Robert's rebellion. But there's all this speculation of, was Old Nan the grandmother to Dunk? Was it one of her sons? Was it a cousin? Was it a this? There's like lots of speculation. Somehow there's a connection there. And then the other question was always, because a lot of people often thought, well, actually, Dunk and Tamsel eventually do get together, and that's where Hodor comes from. And so then it's like, but is she related to Tamsel or is she related to Dunk? You know, and there's a lot of, it's never said, it's never definitive. There's just as many stories that he's part giant as well. I
have not even encountered that theory before. It sounds fan-casty to me, but who knows, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm only
from the old days.
Yeah. I think my first reaction though is just kind of, I had always thought that given that we do eventually meet actual giants, that for Hodor it was perhaps more literal in that sense. You know, but in any case, none of that is canon. That's all just like people like to connect dots.
Yeah, there's so many speculations because, you know, there's not everything.
Speaking of the family lines, I think the character that really stood out to me was Lionel Baratheon.
Oh yeah. He's so good in that first episode.
That actor, that character, I want to party with that guy.
Yeah.
He was just and seemed, you know, he seemed obviously cocky and all those things, but he seemed like a good guy, you know? Like
he seems like the knights that you hear of. You know, he wasn't one of the ones just lip servicing it, you know?
Right.
Well, because the vibe I get from him especially in that first episode is like, you know, he is a lord before he's a knight. You know what I mean? Like he does the knight stuff, but that's right. You know, but I love just, you know, him questioning, you know, you see him and his guys at his table watching Dunk move around through this party, like a weirdo, and just eventually call him over and like, hey man, what's your deal? You're huge. What is going on here?
Are you an assassin? What's going on? Are you here to kill?
And I think assassin that tall.
And I think it's from his perspective, it's kind of funny to discover that like, oh, you're actually just nobody who wandered in here for food.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
because you're interesting because you are not either of the two things that I assumed you would be.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're not trying to suck up to me, and you're not trying to scope me out for some ulterior motive. You're just someone who is literally here for supper, I mean. All right, great. And now I'm just interested in you because you're so tall. And I love
we're going to be best friends, and I'm going to call you in on my tug of war as it's like, I don't have to actually try. He's over there pulling.
And I love the line that he says, you know, if the seven have, you know, like you're walking through slouching all the time. If the seven have granted you tallness, then be tall.
Be tall. That was great.
Yeah.
That was great.
And then there's like, do you like to dance? And doesn't everybody? Cue the most amazing dancing
ever.
I love it so much. And I also love that, like, we get back to his tent later and he's shirtless and celebrating with also the helms. So
Dunk wearing the helm.
But like, yes, Dunk wearing the helm was great. But in the books, they talk about the helms and they're so detailed and it's so extravagant. And then we got Game of Thrones and it was so subtle. And I always read it as this big impractical thing. Yeah. And then you've got this Baratheon with these giant antlers. And I'm like, yes, this is what I pictured when I read the books. This completely impractical helm.
In the main show, the Hound was like the only one who really had like an elaborate, stylized helmet. But then, of course, you know, he is like favored, you know, dirty work doer for, you know, a prince. So, I think it is just so fun how immediately that connection gets formed without their I think there's a very interesting dynamic because Lionel likes Dunk, obviously, interested in spending more time with him, but I think Dunk would be a fool to assume that it's anything more than that, right?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, hey, I'm having a party while we're here at the tournament. You're someone that I would like to party with tonight. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. We'll do something fun. You should not presume that there's anything else there.
Yeah.
But,
you're not going to come to my house and hang out, but
we actually
for now,
saw that too.
Yeah. For now, you are someone who I can kind of let my guard down around a little bit just because you are so unaware of any of the politics that I don't have to watch my mouth around you in the same way that I do about everybody else in my life. And so, I great moment that they keep showing in all of the recaps for good reason, which is Dunk saying well, so I know I'm tall and I'm big and I'm fast, but you've had all of the training with all the best masters of arms. So what chance do I have? And he's like, you have no chance.
You have no chance. But he says,
the training actually matters.
Yeah, but then he says, but it's a great honor to test oneself against a worthy foe. So you can see why it's kind of like, oh, yeah, okay. But then what you guys said about, don't presume that there's any real friendship there, that he's only interested in Dunk because he's fun, he's there for the night. We actually see that play out because it's that late night. It's they're talking and they're talking about, test yourself against a foe. And Duncan finally asks, what should he do?
Yeah.
What do I do? He's looking at this man who's so knowledgeable, so experienced. He knows everything, anything
willing
that
to
could
talk to him.
willing to spending all this time with him. They've bonded. They've shared all these things. And he just says, I don't know. And he gets up and he walks off. He fucks off. He literally fucks off and goes off to find more fun stuff to do.
Yeah.
And it's
I'm really quite drunk.
I'm really quite drunk. Bye. But then, that was a very clear sign to Dunk if he was sober enough to pick up on it. So hopefully he did. And then he goes back and he returns to the camp. And what does he find? He finds Egg, who has set up a campfire. He's caught fish. He's cooking it. And he says he's gotten there by lamb cart. That's how he got there from the tavern. And, it's so amazing. He's like, well, I'm here now. I tried to put up your pavilion, but I couldn't find it, and he's like, I prefer to, I love this so much, you guys. I am going to say it. My pavilion is the stars, or I prefer to fall asleep under the stars or something like that. And it's just like, oh, all right, whatever. And it's just so it's just such a humble, real connection with this little kid that he had already told to fuck up. To take off. I forgot we were recording for a minute.
We should have a little counter.
I need watching your people watching your mouth.
I'm so sorry. I haven't.
I think my favorite.
We are recording this conversation, huh?
As I love you realizing it as soon as you say a swear, and then. Nobody's hearing this, but the faces that Viv is making is what's making me laugh more than anything. She's like,
I'm trying.
No, I did it.
But yeah, I agree. I love, let's briefly just give a shout out to the young actor playing Egg, who's incredible. Because I thought to say that now just because, specifically the line about, I thought to put up your pavilion, but I couldn't find one, is so perfectly played of Egg knows that Dunk doesn't have a pavilion.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's just on that perfect razor's edge of we both know that you don't have one, but I'm not teasing you about it.
Yeah.
I'm in fact, in a way, saving face by not implying that obviously you don't have one.
Right.
It's suggesting surely the fact that there wasn't one is just because I couldn't find it, not because you were too poor to have one.
Yeah.
And I thought the line was just, But then of course, all of the stuff about, camping under the stars and there's discussion of, the tree but trees leak. But then it has that incredible payoff of the two of them seeing the shooting star I mean,
Yes.
The
that
story
means the
that
luck is
we're
ours
under
alone.
the pavilion, so the
Yeah.
luck is ours.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, it's such a great.
That was-
and
that
that's
was-
of course how they finish episode 1, right?
That really was
Yeah.
like, I think I get goosebumps. That was such a great moment because they really gave you a very humble payoff on that whole exchange when they're falling asleep and they're back to back and he's like, oh, and then, just basically shuts, Egg down. And then you can tell he just like, of course it would take Duncan a moment. Of course it would take, it would take a couple revolutions around his brain. And he's like, does that mean the luck is ours alone? It was just like a little smile and silence from Egg. What an angel.
Another fun dynamic, I think, that takes a little while to sort of really play out to see the pattern of it is that we see right away at the beginning of the first episode, Dunk talking about Sir Arlen, you never struck me when I didn't deserve it. But we see that was apparently a lot.
That was a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
But now what we have is Dunk pretty frequently threatening to clout Egg on the ear, never actually doing it.
I think what's great about this being the series and the actor is every time he threatens to give him a clout in the ear, you don't believe it.
You don't believe it.
So
Right.
not seriously said. It's so obvious to me, at least, that he's saying it because he thinks that's how he has to be.
That's
That's
what
the only
that's what
example.
you say.
That's the only example he has. He does not know any other words, so he says the words, but he's not going to do the thing because that's a jerk thing to do.
Well,
but he doesn't
but-
that's his example.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is how immediately, at the climax of episode 3, when Arian is got Tencel, he just goes for it. There's no hesitation there at that point. It's like even knowing that he knows who Arian is, like it's like there's just so the point just being, it is not like his not clouting Egg on the ear is not because he's not capable of violence or that he doesn't know how to do it or that
Right.
he can't be driven to it under the right circumstances.
Yeah.
But just the same, it's, does Egg ever actually deserve it? Whereas Arian, in Dunk's mind, definitely deserves it, therefore.
Yeah.
Clout on the ear and a boot to the face.
And I think what's great is that in that episode is that Eggs was there when the puppet show gets interrupted and he runs to get Dunk because he could have revealed himself to stop it, but he knew, well, he might have been able to stop it, but he knew, I'm going to get Sir Dunk and he will do something. He knows him well enough to know he's going to.
I think it's an interesting question to think about the psychology, what's going through Egg's mind in that moment. And I think that, like, my own personal sort of preferred read there is that he has now come to admire Dunk so much that it is literally just his first thought. I need help. I'll go get Dunk.
Yeah.
But the problem is, once he has done that, and once he sees what happens with Dunk, there's that second realization of like, oh God, I've just gotten my friend killed.
Yeah.
I asked him for his help, and then because he did so, he's going to get executed. This is my fault. Which is, I think, a big part of, why he is willing to, of course, reveal himself at the end of that episode. But just this recognition, because I think he does not actually think it through before he goes and grabs
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Because if he had, he would have realized it would have come to that and he would have just saved Duncan from being involved in it and he would have stepped forward. I think if he had not reacted so emotionally, he would have probably just stepped forward himself and our story would have ended and that would have been the end of the show. So I'm glad he didn't.
I am going to offer one single nitpick of the show for that whole sequence, though, which is I thought that the effect that they put on her hand when Arian breaks her finger was totally unnecessary. Made it just look like the bone was actually like coming through the skin. I just felt like that was it was unnecessary.
I thought something was punctured through her hand.
No, he breaks
It was
her finger
confusing,
backwards,
yeah.
but like if you, what it makes it look like is the bone of her finger is emerging from her palm. Right there.
Yeah, I thought he had broken her finger backwards after he had already stabbed her hand.
No,
I just didn't see
that
it very well.
well, but my point is
Yeah.
It could have just done the finger. It would have completely served the exact same purpose. I don't think the effect was necessary at all. I thought it was overkill and was.
Yeah.
I would have told, if they asked my opinion, I would have told them you don't need the effect.
Yeah.
Just the finger break is plenty.
So I don't watch. I when I see something like that about to happen, I look at something else. So I can't. I have no help to offer at all. It was.
Yeah, I mean,
I heard the crunch, and
like,
that was it. So
The effect. It's not so much that like the effect was bad or that I am always against any kind of like gore effect of that type.
Right,
but I just
right.
felt like it just felt like it was overkill
Yeah.
and completely unnecessary.
and kind of brutal in the landscape that they're giving us almost.
Yeah.
I do think we kind of skipped over a lot of things that happened in episode 2. And one of the things that I really like is, so I don't know if you guys can help me figure this out, because when he kind of wandered his way past the Targaryens as they were all arriving, and he ends up like the horse reacts, like the Aaron.
I believe it's Arion.
Arion.
Whatever his name
Okay,
is.
but now in my head, he will always be
Aaron.
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 Chooch made that joke when we were watching it. I was like, oh, great. That's his name now. So I don't, whatever his real name is.
Chooch's fault.
It's Chooch.
It is Arion. So
Arion.
Arion. Arion.
Arion. Okay. So, but when he was like, take care of my horse, he's like, I'm not my job, bro, and then he goes through all that and he calms the horse down. And then he has that little moment with, the night was, or maybe I'm skipping ahead on that. There was the scene. There's the scene with the Kingsguard, but the thing that I wanted to ask you about was he kind of finds his way inside, where the damn Targaryens are meeting to secretly talk about shit in private. And he's just kind of like trying to, and again, if we haven't said it yet, the whole goal that Duncan has across the first 3 episodes is he wants to get into this tournament at the Ashford Meadows, I think is where it is. And so that's all it is. He's going from lord to lord because he's already got the master of the lists and he won't let him on because he doesn't think he's a real knight. So
someone
he's going,
needs to vouch for him. Yeah.
Somebody has to vouch for him. So he's going. He asked Baratheon. He's trying to hook up with Dondarrion, and his prostitutes keep telling him to come back. He's trying to meet with all these different people just to get on the list so he can try to start to see if he can make a life this way. Because that's all he wants. His knight is dead. How am I going to make a living? I can sell the horses and live for a year, but then after that it's thieving, or I don't even remember what the other thing was. So he's trying to
outlawry is the word
outlawry. Yeah. So he's trying to figure out his path. So while all these things that we're talking about is happening, he's punctuated with him meeting with lords and saying, do you remember he came and fought for you in this battle and he was wounded? And, so he's trying to get all of this
and
stuff.
Nobody remembers his hedge.
Nobody remembers a poor old hedge knight, one of thousands, right? So they don't know him. And so he has, all of these interactions, and, one of them is with the Kingsguard, and, the Kingsguard says something like, I was just a crabber at Duskendale, not a lord. And so he was like, whoa. And he was like, well, how did you become Kingsguard? And he goes, the same way we became crabbers. And he just like leaves that. And so in the back of Duncan's mind, he's thinking, I could be Kingsguard. He was just a crabber, the whole world is open. All things are possible. He's got like a little lift in his spirit, I feel like, right? But then he goes, and like I said, he wanders around. He's got, I don't know, he's feeling himself. He goes wandering around this house to find, I presume, another lord to beg to get him on the lists, right? That's the only reason he would be in there. But he's kind of like peeking around the edges and like, I guess, trying to get his steam up to just say, hello, lords.
Yeah.
And then but a girl comes out, a young woman, a girl comes out and she taunts him after, and she says like, they're talking about the delayed princes, and then like he doesn't really understand, and she just kind of like yells, like slaps him or something and runs off. And I'm like, who the hell? That has to be one of the Targaryen like siblings, right? One of the Targaryen.
I think she's probably just a daughter of the local lord.
See, and I thought she was probably.
Yeah, they showed her again in the stands. No, she was definitely
Was she? Okay.
nobility.
Yeah, I had the impression she's one of the nobility, but not related to the Targaryens.
Gotcha.
Okay.
What I kind of love is that he manages to make his way, a stranger, armed, all the way to the Crown Prince's room, unescorted, mostly just because he's too stupid to realize that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
And I'm saying stupid here in an affectionate sense. Yeah. But the point just being, no one stopped him because they're not set up for people who just don't know any better.
Yeah. You don't walk into a prince's room. Who knew?
And so, of course, we have, Maekor and Baelor are in there, Baelor is the crown prince, meaning his dad, currently king. He would be next in line, and then his brother. And so Egg is Maekor's son. So Egg's a ways down, even once we learn who he is, because he's like the third son of the wrong branch of the tree, so to speak. But I love Maekor just kind of like, who the hell are you?
Why is there somebody gigantic?
This enormous guy with a
hide?
sword is just wandering around.
And he's obviously trying to hide. And it reminds me of like any D&D game you ever play. And you've got like this gigantic barbarian who's like,
Make a stealth check.
Yeah, I'm going to making a stealth check. And it's like, what are you doing? You're
hiding behind a screen that's got holes in it.
But the holes are a foot wide. I mean, the holes are like this.
So in any case, but this is, of course, where we meet, Maekor and Baelor. Maekor seems, I think, kind of, my first way I was going to describe it would have been a swear word. I think he is the fun kind of mean. Meaning he doesn't seem like he's an especially nice guy, but he also will call things out when he thinks that they are inappropriate or strange or whatever. He just goes ahead and says these things. Like, for example, never mind. I was about to say a thing that happens in episode 4, but I caught myself. Yes. But yeah, I do just kind of love him just going like, like once Dunk is talking to Baelor, there's this sort of like, are you telling me you really remember some hedge knight from a tournament 16 years ago? Come on, man. It's like, I jousted against him. It's like, all right, whatever.
I mean, I feel like that we've already seen one asset of the hedge knights, which might have made him stick in people's memory a little more. He had a powerful weapon. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm surprised that hasn't come up in any of the remembrances, like when the guy that did remember him, and he had a big old hog or something, nothing ever was. I did it again, Nutty. I'm so sorry. That was not kid friendly. I'm so sorry.
Word?
Okay, thank you. It's gracious of you.
That one's fine.
But didn't you guys love the scene where, I'm sorry, Christiana, you were still continuing a thought, weren't you?
No, go ahead. It's fine. Yeah.
I was just thinking, I just remembered because we were talking about the shooting star. I think we're coming up to the part where, Egg has gone to see the play and he goes back and he sees them and let's see, they go backstage and Duncan pays her for their attendance, which he hadn't done before, which again, what an angel. Who does that, right? And then he, they do that thing, the fire trick with the pollen that we talked about already. But then he's talking about what he was told, which is by whichever Targaryen you said, Nettie, but he told him you didn't inherit those things as a child. So you have to get your own, whatever it's,
he
what's
needs
it called?
His own sigil.
Yeah.
Sigil, his own sigil.
Yeah. The device.
The penny tree sigil. He has to get his own sigil.
Thank you. Yeah. So he's, I had forgotten that completely. But when she says that that Tansel was the one that was painting the puppets, he's like, oh, well, can you paint this? You know, cause he's just not, he's kind of clumsy with his stuff, you know, with the way he does things. And so then it's like, well, what do you want?
Given him the great facial expressions during that. Sorry.
No, you're right. Egg is priceless in this scene. He's definitely kind of walking him through how this interaction should be. But just the idea of he's like, that you can just tell that the bond between Dunk and Egg is so good already, because all Dunk knows is he's like, I don't know, color of sunset. And Egg's like, yeah, I had a big tree, like the one that one by the river or whatever he says. And then Duncan says, and add a shooting star. And it's just like, that's like what their whole existence. They've been hanging out under their tree watching a shooting star. It's just like, the fact that he's taking, like, the big things that have happened to him since he left the Hedge Knight have been these, like, really peaceful and awesome things. Like, what a great thing to have as his sigil, right? Like, what a thing to carry him through whatever's coming, which I don't know, but it's looking interesting, right?
And Sir Arlen is buried under a tree as well.
That's true.
Yeah. But I what I was going to finish the other bit though was just, of course, we also meet Baelor, who seems like a good guy. Yeah. You know? Like, you know, if you're going to have a Targaryen crown prince, you feel like you want him to be Baelor.
Yeah.
You know, like obviously, you know, things are, you know, he's got to deal with serious business frequently. He's not, you know, just a casually fun dude necessarily, but he seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think that, you know, like we said, with the Baratheon, how you're running into all of these dishonorable people who are supposed to be honorable, and then you get somebody like the Baratheon, then you get Baelor, and you're like, wow, okay, that's what I was expecting. There is one thing I did want to mention. We moved past it, but I'm going to bring us back just because it's still kicking at me. The whole interaction and friendship that is forming between Dunk and the Baratheon, it felt so much like, it felt so natural to me. Because it's like when you're at a con and you meet somebody just randomly because you happen to be in a room party, or, you know, in their case, he was there for supper and somebody says something or somebody does something. And next thing you know, you've got this friend that you might only ever see for them at tourneys, or you might only ever see at cons, but it's like, oh yeah, no, like that person, totally cool. And I'm sure we've all been at conventions where, you know, it's somebody that you probably would never interact with otherwise. You know, I know, like at some, you know, when you end up in, you know, you're hanging out
4 a.m. in the courtyard.
Or, you know, Billy D. Williams is walking right past you hanging out, or, you know, like, everybody in the green room stops talking because you just called out Monty Cook, you know, things like that. And it's like, Am I ever going to run into that person in real life? No, but these are the friendships that can form in something like this setting, you know, like a convention, and I just thought that was really cool. And then we have another, like this whole Baelor thing. If he had done that at King's Landing, he'd be dead. But it's attorney, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
Baelor, just a bit of, you know, trivia for everyone. Notably, does not have the silver white hair that we sometimes associate with the Targaryen.
Yes.
If anyone was curious about that, it is because his mother is Princess of Dorne, who was brought, you know, it's when Dorne was the last of the Seven Kingdoms to be brought into the Targaryen fold, and Baelor's father married Dornish princess, and that was his mother, and why he has different hair. But it's also, there's, you know, some of the Targaryens sort of feel like they don't like that sort of mixing, right? And, you know, so there's, you know, some of that controversy about, you know, like why they wed siblings and that sort of thing. Not that it's the first time that would happen, but it's just he is kind of an example of when that didn't happen. And, some of his relations had complicated feelings about that.
Yeah.
Is the Sept of Baelor named after him, or is it another generational name thing?
I'm not sure. Let me find out. I had the wiki up. I will see.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing is with the Targaryens, they're so like they reuse the names over and over. So
right?
It's like,
it's so hard to know.
I believe,
can't remember.
Though,
I thought the Sept was older than that.
Yeah, I think so.
Older than 100 years.
He was known as
seemed like it would be.
He is not. So he is not Baelor the First. Baelor the First he was named after his grandfather's cousin, King Baelor the First,
which was Baelor the Blessed.
Yeah, and that's probably who the Septive bit. Yeah, that's probably who that was.
He's Baelor the Breakspear. Is the
this one that we're seeing now?
Yeah, the one that we're seeing is Baelor the
Breakspear. Okay.
Yeah. So he's a little bit different. And also in the book there's a lot about more in the Song of Ice and Fire books than the novellas, but there's a lot about how the more Targaryen you are, the more fair you are, the more white your hair is, the purple eyes thing, but it's also that there's a sickness.
Yeah.
You know, the inbreeding creates a sickness. So the fact that Baelor Breakspear does not have white hair, does not match everybody else, tells us that he might not have this sickness.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about all of that, just to have in the air as we talk about all of the rest of this, is of course that we might be tempted, therefore, to say, oh, maybe that's why he's cool.
Yeah.
As opposed to some of the other mean Targaryens. But Egg is not Baelor's kid. He's Maker's kid.
Yep.
And so, and he specifically says to Aerion, he shaved his head because he didn't want to look like his brother.
Like him, yeah.
Yep.
So that means that Egg, if he didn't shave his head, would have the notable white hair.
And the potential risk for illness.
Or at least that's the
implication.
So it goes.
Yeah.
We certainly saw that
It is
play
so
out
weird
in
that
the Game of
he's
Thrones
growing
show.
hair down there.
It's weird that you tell me. That was the best line. It's weird that you're telling me about it.
No.
Oh my God.
I feel like the one sort of plot thing that we haven't really touched on yet is that in addition to Dunk having trouble getting someone to vouch for him just in general, there is also that first night joust, which I feel like I'm not sure why it was a whole bunch of them at once.
That was wild.
I sort of felt like I didn't understand why that part was happening. I think it was really just to look cool because the real point of the scene is Dunk seeing actual real jousting for the first time and going, oh God, Sir Arlen never taught me to do that.
Yeah.
I rode the horse around and jousted and tilted at rings.
Yeah.
We also got Egg's response to seeing what the squires were doing.
Yeah,
what
I've got a job to do.
Yeah,
his eyes got real big when
I
he
love
watched
his
him.
Those lances are huge.
Yeah. Bigger than him.
Mm-hmm.
What were you
And
saying?
so- I mean,
bigger than
His
everybody.
little what, Christiana?
I guess I don't know, but I think I was just going to say when his little training montage. That's what I was starting to say. That
was great.
Really
but
cool.
I think so. We also, we get Egg's training montage where he talks to the horses and stuff like that, and that's fun too because Dunk, of course, talks to the horses too. But we also get the master of games of the tournament coming to Dunk and basically saying, so, as you know, the son of the Lord who's hosting the tournament is generally considered to be pretty good, but there is kind of a liquid assets problem in the house right now. And so, gosh, if someone nobody had ever heard of before were to challenge him and unseat him, boy, some people who made the right bets would make a whole lot of money. What do you say? And Dunk is like, well, I don't want to cheat. It's like, well, but we're not asking you to lose.
Just going to do what you were going to do.
Just, do what you were going to do anyways. Like, I don't want a victory I haven't earned. It's like, well, but wouldn't you have earned it? And, so it's interesting because that's in the air too, right? Dunk has refused, but the guy certainly made it clear. It's kind of like, well, okay, but
and it
hasn't happened yet. Let me change your mind. Yeah.
And it's not stupid because if anyone's going to unseat somebody who's really good at this, it might be the giant.
Yeah. Well, and the other, the other piece that we haven't even said is that even once he is able to enter, if you lose even once, the expectation is you have lost your horses and armor and everything to your opponent and have to pay to get it back, which Dunk can't do, which means that if he loses even once, he is completely broke and has nothing. Whereas if he wins even once, he's substantially better off. But but it's if you lose even once. So the idea of like, well, what if your first round gave you a buffer, right?
And you could also, you would probably get some of my winnings because, but the other part is, and this is a big part of episode 2, is he doesn't have armor.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a helm. He doesn't have much because his knight was much smaller than him. You can't, it's not like clothes. They don't stretch. There is no brace.
Oh, I just get that breastplate stretcher.
Breastplate stretcher. Thank you. There is no breastplate stretcher. Oh, couldn't get that out. But, he's got old armor, but it's, that's not worth much. So he ends up having to sell all but one of the horses. And
alas, poor Sweetfoot.
Yeah. And he loves her so much. And you can tell that he's got a great relationship with the horses, with all horses. And I've always had a thing where I say, I can tell a lot about a person by the way animals behave around them. Like if somebody comes over and the cats are instantly nice to them, that's a good sign. If you're accepted by a cat on your first instance, that's a really good sign. But so, and horses are just giant cats. So if you're able to charm, these, and he doesn't do it by like being forceful. He's very tender with them and they trust him. And Egg also has that kind of way. Maybe it's after watching Dunk with the horses or not, but you can see how it's breaking his heart that he has to sell his horse. And he's like, I'm going to come back and buy her. And by the way, here's some coins so that she gets good oats tonight. And
I mean, and an apple.
And who does that? Yeah, it's so sweet. But that tells you a lot about how much is he risking and who he is as a person. So there's a lot riding on
So he's
this.
renting the armor, right?
Well, yeah. It's essentially he's renting it. Like the guy's building it for him, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So Dunk is putting an awful lot of pressure on himself for something he really doesn't know if he can do or not.
Yeah.
But he ended episode 2 saying that he kind of talked himself around to being confident that he'll do well demonstrating what Sir Arlen wrought. So he's like, it's not even like he's just trying to do well for himself. And now he's seeing that, Egg is kind of wanting to continue to hang out with him. He sees him as a safe harbor. So he's feeling like, well, I have to do well now so I can help Egg. But now he's even tacking it on to, well, this is part of Sir Arlen's legacy, how well I do. So he's really, he really is putting that on him. And it's doing it in a gentle, non-braggart way. He's like, well, I'm going to do this. It's just like, I really got to figure this out, and it's a really honorable way to look at it.
I think
Chooch,
it's also...
Sorry, I thought Chooch was going to say something. I cut him off. Okay. Sorry.
I think it's also interesting that, at least from Dunk, we really don't get any sort of thought of like the idea that there's any sort of a destiny or a fate to it. That he he wants to win. He thinks maybe he can, but it's all just based on him just sort of feeling like I've been given skills. I've been taught well. I think I can do it. And there's not any sort of like feeling like he somehow deserves it or is destined for it or anything like that. He's just going to do his best.
Yeah.
He thinks if he does a good showing, then some house will take him in.
Yeah, exactly.
And he'll become the knight of a house. Yeah. But nothing grander than that, right?
That's where we get a fun conversation with Egg saying, I think I would like living in a place like this. I could, lead a great campaign for my lord and then get a parcel of land and marry the hand's second prettiest daughter. And Dunk's like, why not the first? It's like, well, you would have married her already, of course.
So
Angel. What an angel.
So cute.
Oh, they've got great chemistry together.
They really do. The casting is just amazing. Because the dialogue is great. It's so good. But if they didn't have the right people delivering it, and this is just such good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I everything about this is just making me so happy. I am probably more excited about this than any episode they put out, for Game of Thrones or anything else. It's just so delightful for me. So I'm definitely invested. I'm really excited. Apparently they have at least 2 seasons scheduled. So it's not just going to be
cool.
Yeah. So there are 3 novellas already. And my understanding is that actually, so although they have not been published, that Martin has given them like outlines of what might have been other stories. And I don't know if they would have been like in between the 3 or if they would have been after or what. But the point is just that at the very least, there are 3 novellas to work with.
Yeah.
That's great. I didn't realize there was that much source material.
Yeah, it was definitely something that he liked to do also in between books and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like a break because it's not so serious, it's not so complicated. We get to have this whole season take place in essentially one location.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's really
You're not
exciting.
having to you don't have to constantly cut over to Dorne or to what's the other places across the other continent, Valyria or wherever.
Yeah. And essentially there's only 2 characters. It's not like having 12 point of view characters. You've only got the 2. So before we wrap this up, I'm curious for Chooch and Viv, what do you think is going to happen next?
Go ahead, Chooch.
Gosh.
Do you have,
yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I think that, I think Egg will have the clout to get Dunk out of this jam. And then he has to joust in the tourney. If he doesn't joust in the tourney, what are we doing? I mean, that's the whole thing. The whole build up to the tourney. So I'm hoping he at least gets to joust. But, I grow over bigger than that. I have no idea.
I mean, I have an expectation that Dunk and Egg will continue through the season. That's my only.
So if it's a series of novellas.
It does seem like there's at the very least there's some sort of an end state, but how could they possibly get there?
Yeah. I feel like they're going to be together for a while. I hope. I honestly I don't know because I'm not sure that Egg can keep Dunk out of the worst of the trouble because he did attack Arian in public after he was defending the dragon's murder in the play. And those 2 things in combination. That the dragon lost, right. So that was insult number 1. Insult number 2 is, the fact that he didn't do the play, but he's a part of that now because he's defended the play people. Yeah. Play people. Good Lord. So anyways, words are hard. But so it's going to be interesting to see how I don't think it's going to be that easy. I think they'll be glad that he's back, but they still, if they don't make an example of him, then the thought is, well, then any commoner is going to walk up and, make a loose tooth on a prince. And so I don't know how they're going to get out of it. I'm very worried about Tansel. I have more worry for Tansel than anybody else right now because I feel like, she's the most vulnerable person in the story right now as far as things. Dunk is very vulnerable, but he has Egg on his side who has some kind of leverage. We don't know how far it'll go, but I'm most worried about Tansel right now. And I hope we get more of Raymond Fossaway because he's a little delight. And I'm not even going to say, I hope we get more. I need more of Lionel Baratheon because he is like a really delicious mix of, if I had to pick the characters from the first show, he's like, I'm talking Syrio and I'm talking Oberyn. He is like a sexy blend of those 2. We never got much from Syrio Farrell, but I feel like we get some more of him right now with this character. He's so fun and sexy and he doesn't seem to be wanting to do any harm to Dunk, even though he may not want to help him figure out his little identity crisis stuff, So that's where I'm at with it.
I noticed something in episode 3. We were back in Lionel's tent and there was all this raucous stuff going on and people dancing. And there's a serving girl and she's got, her shirt and it's like half over her shoulder. But what I noticed is because when you were talking about Tansel being worried about her, women in this world don't have a lot of agency. They are at risk for so many things. And the lower born you are, the more at risk. And she's, at least in the story, she was always described as, looking very foreign. And, the casting, what's foreign these days, right? Like casting, but still, so she has even more to risk. But what I was noticing about Lionel's hut or tent or pavilion or whatever it was, there wasn't a lot of like just grabbing and groping women. And the barmaid, the serving girl, she wasn't getting groped and grabbed like we saw a lot of in Game of Thrones. That when you were at a bar or a tavern or even at Winterfell and people were celebrating, they were grabbing the help. They were grabbing the women and just, molesting them as like just normal behavior. And I noticed that was kind of absent. And I would like to think that this is the showrunners trying to show us that, he's a rake, but he's a good guy.
Yeah. Right.
And the people around him are not so bad. And Christiana's smiling. She's watched episode 4, so I think she's quiet about that.
So I'm not going to say anything except that I liked the episode, and I suspect you will too. And the good news is it's out, so you could go watch it right away if you want.
Oh, that's totally fine.
Yeah, we did not. So the episode it's Sunday, and the episode aired early because it's Super Bowl Sunday. So we have.
Yeah, they released it Friday.
And myself and Nutty, did you watch 4 yet?
I have not watched 4 yet. No.
So the 4 of us, out of the 4 of us, 3 haven't watched it. I was sure I would confuse stuff, so I have been like wanting to watch the next episode, but waiting to keep my simple brain pure.
I had to catch myself a couple of times.
I did find it amusing that in the because Game of Thrones was so rapey and whatnot, and then his Dunk's thought when maybe I'll join the town's guard. You stop raping. Yeah. That was his first go-to of enforcing the law.
I thought that was great too. That was really good. I as soon as I finished episode 3 and there's the big reveal and everybody's just staring at Egg and then the credits come on and I'm like, and I want to watch episode 4, but I can't because I know I won't be able to keep it separate. And the episodes are so short, it'll be so easy to binge. If somebody doesn't have HBO, just when you can get all 6 episodes, it'll be so easy to binge because they're so short.
And you'll feel like, wait, that's it?
But I don't think also.
But they're dense.
Yeah, they're dense. There's a lot happening.
There's a lot of feels in there buried in there. Yeah.
There's no real wasted scenes.
Yeah.
You definitely get a feel for things. And I think what's really great about everything's written in a lighter manner and everything, but also they're not at war. But A Song of Ice and Fire and Game of Thrones, the TV show, they're always at war.
War, yeah.
There's, there's a big difference between peacetime and wartime in telling a story. So very refreshing. So for the first 3 episodes, what do you rate the first 3 episodes? Back to our good old rating system.
Yeah.
I've already got.
I am just so happy with them right now that I'm going to go ahead and go straight to 10 out of 10 shooting stars on a shield.
Oh, that's so sweet and poetic.
Lovely.
I also am going 10 out of 10 prosthetics.
I'm just going to go 10 out of 10 eggs, you guys. I'm going to keep it simple. That the charm, like Duncan is so charming, but I'm smitten with Egg. I don't want to think about the future. I don't want to know nothing about no prophecies or fortunes. I just want to enjoy the cuteness. I love Egg so much. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. Even the music, you guys, they've even done so well with the music.
The music is so good. Yeah. The composer that they have is really well known and has done a lot of really good stuff.
It's like with the House of Dragon music, you definitely get that heavy strings. You're listening to a Game of Thrones world soundtrack, but they've gotten lighter in the later episodes, kind of diverging from that and getting lighter. So sorry, Chooch. I meant to mention the music too, but go ahead. I'm sorry. You're rating, my love.
I don't have anything good. But I do agree with the 10 loosened Targaryen teeth.
There you go.
Ooh, yeah.
I like it.
Because I do not like Aileron or Aaron.
Aaron. No.
Yeah, the Targaryen names are just ridiculous because it's not only are they like weird names, but they just kind of keep reusing them. So it's like, yeah.
and they keep using the sound air. But you know what I mean? Like all their names are air this, air that, Arion, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Arion, Aegon, Rhaegor, all of the Baelor. There's an A in everything.
Yeah.
I remember reading George R. R. Martin talking about how one of the big pieces of writing, and if you're writing lots of complex characters, is never reuse names because people can't keep them straight. But he said, but historically with the royalty and where you're tracking family lines, they reuse names all the time.
Oh,
yeah. So he brought that in as a method of realism, but also, he even brings it up in the books that people get confused. Wait, which one are we talking about now?
So just for fun, I just looked up all of Egg's siblings. So these are all the children of Maekar Targaryen. Daeron, Aerion, Aemon, Daella, Aegon, Egg, and Rai.
So they've all got the AE in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the Ray probably as in, not Rhaegar because you're a girl.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
But yes. So in any case though, yes. Did you do your, you did,
yeah.
To Targaryen teeth. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. So yes.
Yeah. We're all
it was
thinking
so
10
fun
out of
too.
10. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is amazing if anybody who's listened to Beyond the Wall goes back. I don't think we ever rated anything a 10 out of 10.
Well, I think
there was
were
one or
episodes.
two.
Yeah, there
PG was
been.
the self-appointed grump who sometimes rated things low just out of spite. Contrarianism.
I don't know. I think we might have been able to get a 10 out of him on this one as well. I
think he definitely would have been charmed. He definitely.
This show so far is definitely coasting on just the goodwill of being such a refreshing change of pace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Getting to live in the world of the commoners, so to speak, instead of at that high level figuring out which kingdoms are going to get to survive this next season, like that high level stuff. Well, we needed this grassroots kind of story to really kind of fall in love with the area again, because as much as I love House of Dragons, it's another show that's like, high up in the castles and stuff like that. So this is just delightful.
To me, these stories always were kind of like the one episode of TNG Lower Decks, which was great. And then we got the Lower Decks TV show, which to me, I mean, you have to know Star Trek, but to me, it's my favorite of all the Star Trek now. And
I love
because
wow,
it is so refreshing and optimistic. Yeah. And this show is, more like Lower Decks than the thick, serious drama of other, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, that sort of thing. So,
to me, I think it's a difference. It's difference of, or I guess it's kind of the allure of steampunk, cyberpunk, gutter punk, right? Yeah. It's from the ground up. Exactly. And it's very refreshing to, see that point of view. And
because it's cool to see, like, how did the kings and the queens and the counselors make all their decisions that impacted history and all of that kind of stuff. But it's also really cool to see, okay, but I'm not a king. I'm not a diplomat. I'm not a mover or a shaker. I'm just a person living in this time. What would my life have been like in that world? And I think that those are probably some of our favorite moments from the first series, even where we got to hear the stories from Nan or Nan or however you want to pronounce. I always assumed it was Nan, but or the Wildling tales when we were around their campfires, or, when we were in Dorne and seeing how, those were some of, I think, the most precious moments that we were given. And so the fact that we are seemingly going to have this whole series, or at least this season of it, hopefully, be that realm. I think that is just, I mean, I would have loved this before House of Dragon, but I'm just grateful to get it at all. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I think the most compelling storytelling is always of the common person, especially when it's something about heroism, that you can be a hero no matter where you're from. And a little shade towards the Star Wars thing. I think the worst thing they ever did was make, Rey Palpatine's blood. I was like, that was so stupid. The whole point was that she was no one. And that was what was so compelling.
I can't even get started on it.
Yeah. But it is something that is so great that no, you're not somebody from, it's not because of who your parents are or what your parents did, but that there is something innate within you that is all you that makes you the hero. And those are the stories that we love. These are the tales that stick with us. And that's why I love these stories so much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what we thought. If you want to tell us what you thought, you can always put it in the Discord, in the Facebook group, on wherever you're talking to us. But also, please visit everyone else's here's domain. So before we go, I'm going to ask everybody, just give us a website or a place where people can come and talk at you.
Christiana?
All my stuff's just under my name, basically, ChristianaEllis.com. My channel on Twitch is Christiana Ellis. On YouTube, I believe it's Christiana Ellis 1. But if you Google me, you'll find my stuff.
There's not too many of you out there.
Unfortunately, people have started using the handle Vivid Muse. So I'll tell you, just go to twitch.tv/Vivid Muse. That's where I spend my time. I'm streaming games, City of Heroes every week. I just started streaming Cult of the Lamb. It's so fun.
Such a fun game.
So fun. But there's a lot of fun stuff that we're doing. And I talk about most of it either there, or my Discord for that, which you can get to through the Twitch site. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you can find links to all of our different endeavors at choochandviv.com. And I actually started recently getting back into design, which was one of my first kind of career things, and started selling t-shirt designs at chibalounge.com. Some are a little racy. You can maybe tell by the title. But and some are also just fun and cute, too. But
Neat. Got to look that up.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being here. And I would love to grab you all again, maybe when the season is over, kind of do a recap.
Nutty.
Can't wait.
Sure.
I said it before and I'll say it again. You can grab me anytime.
I won't even say phrasing. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
I want to thank our patrons. I'm going to start with our top tier big daddies. Thank you so much to Jax and Rich the TT. Thank you. And then to our patrons of the arts, I want to thank the Encaffeinated One, Susanna, Melissa, Mark Cabot, Hugh, as well as Kaylin. Thank you so much for being patrons of the arts. And to all of our other patrons, I want to thank for being the lifeblood and keeping things going. You are the reason that we are here. Thank you to Shane, Selganor, Mike, Kinsey, Ken, Ian, Harold, Steven, the Radical Geek, Greg, Zachman, Will, and Uncle Mons. Thank you so much, all of you.
The Nutty Bites podcast is produced by Nimlast Studios under the Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International Deed. What this means is you can share it, but you can't change it, you can't make money off it, and you need to link back to me, my site, and everything. We live at nimlast.org. There you can find links to social media, Discord, our Facebook group, Patreon, or you can call us at 347-NUTTY-42. We do not consent to having AI scrape, learn from, or repurpose the Nutty Bites podcast.